time is precisely 8:45. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here's the news edited by J. Yograj and read by Rumesh Peris. The headlines. A new institutional framework to enhance Sri Lanka's industrial sector. Indian Foreign Minister to visit Sri Lanka tomorrow. Liquor shops closed for Posun Week. A committee report on CBSL salary hikes submitted to COF. Nimal Siripala elected chairman of SLBC. And in news overseas, Putin and Kim signed strategic partnership treaty. And in sports, it's cricket. Williamson steps down as New Zealand captain after T20 World Cup. Now the local news in detail. President Ranil Wickremesinghe announced the establishment of a new development bank aimed at providing financial support to industrialists in Sri Lanka. This initiative will offer industrialists the opportunity to obtain loans at low interest rates. Additionally, the President revealed plans to set up an economic commission to oversee these activities. A new institution, Enterprise Sri Lanka, will also be created to empower small and medium-sized entrepreneurs. President Wickremesinghe made this announcement during the inauguration of the International Industry Expo 2024, the first event of its kind in Sri Lanka. Organized by the Industrial Development Board under the guidance of the Ministry of Industry and with the support of Industries and Health Minister Dr. Ramesh Pathirana, the exhibition will run from today until the 23rd of June at the Sirimao Bandaranaike International Conference Hall. Over 1,000 international industrial entrepreneurs from various countries, along with local, large-scale and medium-scale industrialists, are participating in this event. The expo features 1,307 exhibition booths, with the special inclusion of a separate green industrial zone for the first time. Additionally, an experimental academic conference on green industrialization will be held during the exhibition. Indian External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar is scheduled to visit Sri Lanka tomorrow, the Foreign Ministry says. During his visit, he will review the ongoing projects between the two countries ahead of Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's upcoming visit to Sri Lanka. Liquor shops in several divisional secretariat divisions will be closed for 7 days during the Posun Week, which started from yesterday until the 24th of June in view of the National Posun Festival. Accordingly, all the liquor shops in the Nuwaragampalat Central, the Nuwaragampalat East and the Mihintale Divisional Secretariat divisions will be closed during the aforementioned period, said the Department of Excise. The report of the committee appointed by President Ranil Wickremesinghe to review the salary increase of officials of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka has been handed over to the Committee on Public Finance. Chairman of the Committee on Public Finance, Dr. Harsha De Silva, informed the Parliament today that he has received the relevant report. Accordingly, he stated that the report has pointed out that the salary increase of CBSL officials should not have been implemented. Responding to mounting pressures from members of Parliament and the Committee on Public Finance, President Ranil Wickremesinghe established an independent remuneration committee to review the contentious salary hike based on the recommendations delineated in the COPF report on CBSL salary revision. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Continuing with more local news. The Executive Committee of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party today unanimously elected Minister Nimal Siripala De Silva as the party's chairman and Duminda Dissanayake as the SLFP General Secretary. This decision has been taken during the SLFP Politburo meeting led by former President Chandrika Bandaranaike Kumaratunga, which was held on the 8th of April at the Sri Lanka Foundation Institute. Meanwhile, MP Duminda Dissanayake had been appointed as the SLFP's acting General Secretary by the same faction during a Politburo meeting on the 25th of April. As part of another Naval Social Responsibility initiative, a blood donation campaign was held at the Northern Naval Command Hospital on the 19th of June. The Sri Lanka Navy has been conducting its NSR initiatives at the directives of the Commander of the Navy, Vice Admiral Priyantha Pereira. In parallel with these initiatives, this blood donation campaign was held under the supervision of Commander Northern Naval Area Rear Admiral Rohita Abesinghe. The prime motive of this magnanimous drive was to replenish blood stocks at the blood transfusion centers of the teaching hospital Jaffna and base hospital Thilapillai, following requests made by respective hospitals. And that concludes local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Sinhala Veda Mahatmya.
Moving on to the main news story. President Ranil Wickremesinghe announced the establishment of a new development bank aimed at providing financial support to industrialists in Sri Lanka. The initiative will offer industrialists the opportunity to obtain loans at low interest rates. Additionally, the President revealed plans to set up an economic commission to oversee these activities. A new institution, Enterprise Sri Lanka, will also be created to empower small and medium-sized entrepreneurs. President Ranil Wickremesinghe made this announcement during the inauguration of the International Industry Expo 2024, the first ever of its kind in Sri Lanka. And that was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Sinhala Veda Mahatmya.
In Watchlight this evening, Sri Lankan health authorities urged the public not to panic about the spread of streptococcal toxic shock syndrome, or STSS, or commonly known as flesh-eating bacteria, across Japan, raising alarm among health officials. A deadly bacterial infection known as streptococcal toxic shock syndrome, or STSS, is spreading across Japan. In March, Japan's National Institute of Infectious Diseases issued its first warning that STSS cases were on the rise. As of June 2nd, Japan's Health Ministry has reported 977 cases for this year, a count that already surpasses last year's total of 941 cases. That's also nearly 2.5 times the number of cases reported in the United States so far this year. 395 cases have been reported, not far off from the 390 seen at this time last year. And that came to you in Watchlight.
Coming up, World News.
Moving on to the bulletin of World News. Putin and Kim signed Strategic Partnership Treaty. Fuel supply woes impacting winter flights to northern Japan. Ecuador temporarily suspends visa waiver for Chinese nationals. Now the world news in detail. The leaders of Russia and North Korea have signed a comprehensive partnership treaty cementing security and military ties. A summit between Russian President Vladimir Putin and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un was held in Pyongyang on Wednesday. In their opening remarks, Kim stressed his support for Russia's military operation in Ukraine, while Putin vowed to jointly oppose the West. The fuel supply difficulties are impacting winter season flights to New Chitose Airport in Japan's northern prefecture of Hokkaido. Sources say Australia's Qantas Airways has told the airport operator that it is cancelling some weekly round-trip flights between New Chitose and Sydney for the upcoming winter. Qantas reportedly blamed fuel supply problems and a lack of ground staff. Singapore Airlines has also said it may be difficult to go ahead with its 5 weekly round-trip flights to Hokkaido this winter for the same reasons. Ecuador's government says it will suspend visa waiver for Chinese nationals following an unusual increase in travelers who leave the country without going through proper departure procedures. Chinese nationals are believed to be using Ecuador as a starting point to enter the United States illegally. Ecuador's foreign ministry announced on Tuesday that it will temporarily suspend the agreement with Beijing and allow visa-free entries for Chinese nationals. Back to the headlines of the world news. Putin and Kim signed Strategic Partnership Treaty. Fuel supply woes impacting winter flights to northern Japan. And Ecuador temporarily suspends visa waiver for Chinese nationals. And that concludes World News.
Development News.
Moving on to development news. KPMG in India is scheduled to host its 31st All India Partners Meet in Colombo, Sri Lanka from the 20th to the 22nd of June. The annual meeting of the India firm is one of the largest meets to be hosted in Colombo, with over 600 India partners and their families attending it to celebrate achievements for the year gone past and discuss future plans. Several partners from other member firms of the KPMG Global Network will also join this meet. And that was Development News.
moving on with sports news.
And in sports, it's cricket. Kane Williamson affirmed his commitment to New Zealand despite his decision to decline the opportunity to be part of the central contract list. In news that has sent shockwaves across the cricketing fraternity, Kane Williamson has announced his decision to step down from white ball captaincy and decline New Zealand's central contract in an effort to prolong his international career. And that was sports news.
Go ekak tiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු ගීත හැබැයි කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
In business news this evening, Neen Hotels has announced that it has been reorganized by the National Sustainable Tourism Certification Scheme for its outstanding sustainability initiatives. This certification, awarded by the NSTCS in collaboration with the UNDP and the Sri Lankan Ministry of Tourism, acknowledges Neen Hotels' commitment to promoting sustainable practices within the tourism industry. And that was business news.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak tiyana youth එකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු ගීත හැබැයි කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Moving on to economic news. The Ceylon Chamber of Commerce recently signed a Memorandum of Understanding with the Southern Gujarat Chamber of Commerce and Industry, or SGCCI, paving the way for enhanced cooperation and growth between Sri Lanka and the dynamic business community of South Gujarat, India. Established in 1940, SGCCI's influence extends through its direct engagement with over 12,000 members and indirect ties to more than 200,000 members via 150 associations, and it is a leading force in promoting trade, commerce and industry in South Gujarat. The region's commercial and economic centre, Surat, has risen to prominence as the global epicenter for diamond cutting and as India's textile hub, and is ranked the world's fourth fastest growing city with a GDP growth rate of 11.5%. Surat's economic landscape is vibrant and diverse. And that was economic news.
Weather report.
And finally, we move on to the weather report. The Met Department says showers will occur at times in the western, Sabaragamu and northwestern provinces and in the Kandy, Nuwara, Galle and Matara districts. Fairly heavy showers above 75 mm are likely at some places in the western and Sabaragamu provinces. Showers or thunder showers may occur at few places in the Uva province and in the Ampara and Batiklo districts in the evening or at night. Strong winds of about 40 to 50 km per hour can be expected at times over the western slopes of the Central Hills, northern, north-central and northwestern provinces and in the Trincomalee, Hambantota and Monaragala districts. This weather report was published this evening at 7:30 p.m. Further details could be obtained by visiting the official website of the department. And now to wrap up this news bulletin, a recap of the main news headlines. A new institutional framework to enhance Sri Lanka's industrial sector. Indian Foreign Minister to visit Sri Lanka tomorrow. All liquor shops closed for Pusan Week. A committee report on CBSL salary hikes submitted to COF. Nimal Seripala elected chairman of the SLFP. And in world news, Putin and Kim signed strategic partnership treaty. And in sports, it's cricket. Williamson steps down as New Zealand captain after T20 World Cup. And with that, we conclude this news broadcast from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.